myself, Arun Kumar Krishna. Welcome to the audience who are listening. Uh, Ananth and me, we go way back, probably 3 to 4 years since we met. I've always impressed in terms of the depth of knowledge that you have in terms of the subject within cybersecurity, risk management, the frameworks that you have developed or working towards developing, right? Some of the things that I really learned from you is the Purdue module. Before that, I never heard from anywhere else, right? So, just a quick intro about you to the audience, so whoever knows who is the guest today on the podcast.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Arun, for the invite, and I'm glad to be part of your podcast. So, myself, Ananth. Uh, I started my career as a software developer, pretty much writing C programs and algorithms for telecom. So, I would call myself a telecom guy way long back. So, but what interests me for cybersecurity is the algorithms I developed were, security algorithms. Long back when we talk about security, it was firewall engineers, nothing more, nothing less. But it evolved in a way that what we are talking today is probably the last 10 years with a lot of modules integrated, a lot of threat intel and advanced tech embedded into cybersecurity is what made me uh, interest with cybersecurity. So for the last 10 years, I've been working with various aspects of cybersecurity and, you know, at all capacities, I would say, being,
Yeah.
you know, being strategic or, tactical or technical, whatnot. So I've been part of a lot of interesting projects, and I want to thank the people that gave me the opportunity to what I'm today.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is one of the things, right? Today, where I am or where you are, because of the people who gave us the opportunity to be there at that time, to execute, to support us execute those things. Some of the times I look back, what if my manager or the person in charge had just said no? Don't do it, right? We would have stopped there, right? So that's something that I feel gratitude most of the time, that most of the superiors that I was reporting to, they gave us free license to do. Hey, do it, we'll look after whatever the things that happen. I think that's one of the principles that even I'm following now. Just break things, we'll fix it. But
Right.
that's how you learn. So that's something that I see.
Yeah, so that will make us evolve, from where we are today. And a lot of times what end up happening is, Arun, what innovative today is obsolete tomorrow. So you
Yes.
will have to, streamline your tools and resources and your mindset. So especially when it comes to cybersecurity, I would call it cybersecurity is a mindset before it becomes skill set.
Yeah.
So
See, one of the things that I've seen, lot of companies, since you are from telco background, even in telco background, right? If you look at telecom networks are vast, and there have been significant challenge of gaps in identifying systems,
true.
right? And they have been here since the internet began, right? Without telecom, nobody would have got any internet, but they couldn't fix those things. Still, I see many of them are struggling still. So that's kind of where you said, that cybersecurity is a mindset, right? It's more about everybody wants to be fit, but nobody wants to put the efforts.
Right. So legacy systems are, pretty much everywhere, especially in telecom, like rightly said. Uh, the last company when I worked for an insurance project was all legacy systems. They were
Mm.
afraid to even touch the architecture or, migrate. So they just wanted to create a DR and see whether if that works successfully to be able to migrate things. That's how the mindset was. But, nothing wrong in doing that. But
Yeah.
if you try to reverse engineer and see what is the better way to do things, then probably that's not the best option to go for.
Yeah. I've seen many of these environments, right, where people are afraid to touch. If I disable this account, I don't know what breaks. I've seen such active directories where people are, I'm not taking that chance. I'm not even trying to reset the password. The password last set was 30 years ago. Let it be. I don't want to change it now.
When you said 30 years, I was literally thinking 30 years because I know some systems that are
Yeah.
20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I have seen, I don't know whether fortunate or unfortunate, active directory password last set 20 years ago. I'm like,
Right.
probably top 10 guesses, I can guess the password of
Yeah,
the systems.
and with sophisticated dictionary attacks and modern dictionary attacks, it's pretty much easy for them to reverse engineer, do
Yeah, yeah.
mimic cats are old today.
Yeah, yeah. See, I was just reading before this podcast that ChatGPT or OpenAI launched agent workflows, right?
Yeah,
2 years ago, everybody were building this agents, or probably a year ago they started building agents. Now OpenAI just came out and said, "Use my platform to build." So all the companies who were investing resources, engineering resources, technology, their own building stacks, everything. Now you have ChatGPT out of the box. You just drag and drop things. You have a workflow. So last year is old today. So
exactly. Yeah, and
so
I can relate this to web development. Right, long back,
yeah,
you will have to have the handle on advanced HTML tags or CSS and all that kind of good stuff. Now it is pretty much drag and drop. So you build a website in fraction of seconds or even.
yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I think we jumped through the topics already, but see, something that I was excited when I always talk to you, as always, right? See, what is that one thing that grabbed your attention enough to work on it? Because see, as we develop or progress through our careers, we have many things to balance. One, our aspirations, what we need to be. Then we have family responsibilities, kids, other things. But there will be that one concept you might, out of your curiosity, grabbed your attention that you, you know, unknowingly started working on it. Anything of such topic?
Great question. So when I think about it, Arun, so everyone is unique in our own personalities, right?
Yeah.
So when I started writing modern algorithms for telecom, I did not know that there is going to be a career for me in cybersecurity, or I'm going to be, in the forefront of defining, frameworks or defining requirements for various aspects of security. But
Hmm.
when I'm always trying to connect the dots backward, like Steve Jobs says, uh, I would say the uniqueness for me was to be able to connect the dots. So when I talk to a database guy, I want to understand their jargon, their language. Similarly,
Hmm.
talking to a network security person, it's almost the same, right? I mean, when high availability and clusters are almost actually, conceptually similar. Although the nuances within each area is differing by itself, but in a very high level, they are all talking the same things. But you will have to have a connectivity, and you will have to have a relatable understanding of how things work traditionally in IT. So for me, I was exposed to various aspects of IT in a very early days in my career. So when I'm looking at cybersecurity today, for the people that are starting cybersecurity today, my advice to them or my suggestion to them will be, uh, you take a cybersecurity job, that is great, but always spend some time in understanding the fundamentals. If it is not
Fundamentals.
in your job, that's totally fine. Nobody's going to come and teach you everything in your job, but you want to spend some time writing codes. Pick up a system program like C or C++,
Yeah.
then pick up an app program. Try to actually code things. Although ChatGPT and AI are going to help you, but you want to be leveraging these tools, not dependent on it completely, right? So you will have to have the mindset of you want to understand all the network protocols, for example, right? So
Yeah.
to be able to relate things, that is pretty much needed for cybersecurity. So when you are in the decision making place where you see, hey, I understand this is a great product, it's a great XDR, but what if actually I'm seeing something else as an indicator of compromise in my network traffic or my net flow? So to to have that level of understanding, you will have to understand the basics and probably start uh, spending more time than your traditional job teachers. That
Yeah. Yeah. 100% right. See, again, fortunately or unfortunately, ChatGPT is here, right?
yeah.
People's first go-to things, and I've seen especially people who are just starting their career get in circle with ChatGPT. They keep going in loops. because one of the thing, ChatGPT has limited context than a human. Whatever you feed, that is its context. And we give it a short prompt, probably a 3 line prompt, or if you are generous, you will probably give a 6 line prompt. But when we speak, there is a lot more context to it. When you type it in a ChatGPT, there is a very little context. And I've seen even developers struggle with it because it can synthesize the context of 1 page or 2 page or 3 files or 4 files of context. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, that's very limited. So
Mm.
it is trying to fix that problem only within those files. It doesn't know anything outside it. So I've seen people struggle because they can't comprehend. For example, you need to store these values in database. If you don't tell this chat GPT, it will store it in your code in memory itself and try to solve the problem, right? So this is what, you need to have that fundamental layer. I don't know nowadays kids know this or not, because everybody are full stack, but previously there was MVC architecture, right? Model, view, controller in traditional Java, right? Where there was a model component, view component, and a controller. I don't think many of the kids nowadays who are becoming developers know this, because if you know that, you know what's a web server, what's an application server, what's a database server. Now we have full stack developers who write front end and back end code without understanding which part should be where. And if you say this to ChatGPT, it will put everything in HTML. Simple as that.
Yeah, so that's a great point, and great analogy when you wanted to have this three-tier structure
Yeah.
on which comes first and what is happening. That a very good example for that will be Angular JS, Node JS, and MongoDB trio.
Yes.
So what end up happening is, okay, you have a Mongo database where you feed your data and everything is uh, ready for your consumption, but you have this front end beautiful Angular, but the the person that is responsible for the Node.js piece probably will actually extract the element from UI, uh,
Yeah.
knowing that this belongs there. You see what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I've seen way too many examples of developer taking shortcuts. One of the things that I remember is people have to validate JWT tokens, right? What they do is, yes, JWT is valid. Go serve the request, but they don't try to validate, is this user's JWT.
Mm,
I can pass anybody's JWT and ask anybody's information, it would give me. For
right.
example, it could be a scenario of I have logged into my bank, I ask another bank's balance, it will give it to me because they're not checking it is my JWT or another.
The identity. So there is always a challenge with identity and security, especially consumer identity. When you talk about
Yeah.
banks or even retail business, right? When I remember one of the companies that I worked, the first day of my job, I got a call from the CIO of the company, actively wanted me to stop a bleeding from a brute force attack. I was
Oh.
okay, let's take a step back. Okay, I mean, I'm just coming here to help you out. Great. But at the end of the day, I want to know the knowledge of what this application or this whole data flow is looking like to be able to even understand where to fit in what, right? So people go further beyond and see that, I mean, someone is going to come and help you out like in a fraction of a second, which is good. I mean, sometimes it happens. I mean, we are going to try out things, but at the end of the day, you will have to really understand the flow, the use case, and why this system and this application is exist in the first place, and what is the security measure that you are going to build on top of it. So Java Web,
Hmm.
when you rightly said, consumer identity and banking, information, JWT tokens. These are the things that the modern identity algorithms are going to have the additional header or additional layer of identity to be able to match the datagram. That's what I'm expecting. I do not know how that's going to work.
Yeah, nowadays you have Superbase and other stuff where people throw in identities in across all the tables. Previously, it was like structured into one table. You have identities here, you have authorization components here, all those sort of structured databases. Now there is unstructured database, throw in everything everywhere.
Sure.
Right? So it's kind of a modern problem. I don't know if there is a modern solution. People are just patching up and dealing from one fire to another fire. But one of the things on current landscapes, right, I wanted to touch on is just to zoom out and see what was a hype 12 months ago and what changed it now.
That's a good question. So 12 months back, everyone is talking about ransomware without understanding the anatomy of the attack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, I got a .exe that is executed. That's fine. That's not going to create ransomware attack for you. So you will have to understand the anatomy of the attack, right? So you need actually at least 6 failures to execute a successful ransomware attack.
Yep.
Someone needs to actually click your phishing email. It's the people that taught me security. This thing is very clear. The attackers are going to either target a client or a server. It is very hard for them to target a server because you are having so many controls in front of you.
Yes.
It's easy for them to target the client. Okay, you send a phishing email actually to somebody. You are not going to educate all the employees to be stringent on what to click or what not to. Even myself, I mean, sometimes uh, it's very hard for me to determine whether this is a real email or a phishing email. So sophisticated with the use of help of modern chat GPT and AI, it's very easy for the attackers to create a replica of exactly looking how a typical email is going to look like. So
Yeah.
now someone clicking the malicious link or malicious website, that's one failure. Then if they were successfully able to execute the .exe is the second failure because your endpoint is failing, right? The third thing, if they successfully create a command and control channel outside, then your
Yeah.
thing is failure. Your firewalls or your IDS or IPS or whatever actually that you deployed in your current infra architecture is failed there because you couldn't actually monitor that particular scenario. So now the fourth failure is somebody is using your credentials, they are doing a lateral movement, and they are trying to compromise a privilege account, which means your identity access management is actually doing something wrong to capture them. Okay, the fifth failure is okay, everything is ready. Now they get the access to your crown jewel, the data. Now the data is encrypted, right? Great. Now companies are going to say, no, I have actually a clear, encryption algorithms to secure my critical data. But what if they put the keys in the same server?
It happens.
Right point. So that is again actually a failure because okay, not the same server, but another server that is within the same subnet,
VLAN. Yeah.
right? So that is the next failure. The lastly, once they actually try to extract all your data, doing exfiltration, your DLP is failing there because it is
Yep.
not monitoring. So now you can say that okay, there was a ransomware attack, but the problem is it stopped there when they could not find the key and the data was encrypted. It stopped
Yep.
there. But there is something called data harvesting. Now, what is new today in the last 12 months, if you personally ask me, in the context of data security, there is something called data harvesting that you are aware of that is happening.
Yeah.
Taking all the data, even if it is highly encrypted, today they have no way to decrypt the data.
Decrypt.
Quantum computing, post quantum cryptography, right? Tomorrow they'll be having powerful systems
Yeah.
that will help decode this information and they can use this data for future use. So nobody's talking about it today.
Yeah, see, you raised two things I need to talk about. One, how I fell for a phishing attack. I'll explain. Okay. Second thing is data harvesting. You bring up a very good point. See, previously, if you want to decode a hash, commonly known hash, we need to have a hash cracker run it on our system. Now you give it to ChatGPT, it will give me the password, right? Hey, I have this weak cache that I saved up. I don't remember the password. ChatGPT will give you instantly. You don't need to run hash cracker, rainbow tables, everything to brute force, right?
Yeah.
The same, I think that's a pretty good point. There is so much breach data out there, probably encrypted now, but it might not stay encrypted forever. That's a real risk, probably something for the future for organization leaders to tackle because that scares me now. If I'm joining or if I'm taking a client and if they had already a breach,
Yeah.
right? In the past, that data is out there. Yeah, that's encrypted now, but what if in future it breaks out? Right?
So
That's a new risk that
mm,
organization has to start accounting for in the risk registers, right?
no, that
Yeah.
is evaluation, Arun. For example, when Diffie-Hellman was an old algorithm that is no longer useful, when RSA came into play, if my memory serves me right, it was a 53-bit algorithm
Mm.
for encrypting data. So it was old. Okay, what is new? RSA. Then what was evolving in terms of hashing and salting and all that kind of encryption algorithms? Sophisticated algorithms were created from the blue team to secure their uh,
Yes.
but the problem today is the sophisticated advanced algorithms for decrypting uh, critical data is not developed by the in-house team. It's actually in the hands of the attacker. We
Hackers.
will have to actually understand how a modern decryption algorithm is going to work, and want to actually start working on strengthening your encryption algorithm that is even more powerful than the quantum computer space.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. Just to continue my previous point, right, on how I fell for a phishing hit.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I was driving, coming back from my office, right, and reaching my home on the highway. There was this, traffic cop who takes with the radar gun cameras, right?
Yeah.
Okay, after I reach home, probably after 2 days or something, I get a message that I got a e-challan for speeding.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I saw a cop there. Probably I was speeding. I don't know. I usually am under limit in terms of speed, but I clicked it. It downloaded a APK file.
Wow.
Then I realized, wow, okay, nice, because I didn't notice all the red signals, but it was so, kind of situationally perfect that I fell for it. And then I realized I'm on an iPhone, so APK, probably not much harm, but I did delete it. But that's how, I've been in the industry, educated so many people on phishing. I wrote an article about how I almost fell for a phishing. This time I fell for a phishing, right? Even you preach, you do everything right, but you can still be a victim of that. That's how effective phishing is. And that's one of the, yeah, that's one of the point that you said. That's the first line of failure in ransomware, mostly, right?
Most modern attacks. So
Yeah,
they needed a client, a very good client for them to support their attack surface is all they need. And with phishing attack, I want to also touch base on another point that I heard from one of the mentors that I discussed, a couple of years back. So I'll give you a scenario, right? Your kids are going to a particular school, right? And if there was an active shooter in the school, okay,
yeah.
you put that pictures in social media that your kids are going to that particular,
Oh, yeah.
but there is no active shooter, or there may be an active shooter. But if you get an email from the school saying that we have the list of students that were you know uh,
Impacted.
impacted, and make sure that if your kid is actually in the list or not, without even actually thinking whether it is phishing or not, you are going to first click them. This is
Click.
emotional thing that
Trigger.
added on top of your intelligence, that it's not easy for you to judge all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Happens. And in my scenario, what had happened was it was a service abuse, right? It was one of from the government portal. It says, this is from a government portal. In India, they have this what they call, SMS sender IDs, right? It usually it's not a private. If it is from a private number, probably I would have figured no police is going to send me on a private number that pay your challan, right? That is a straight dead giveaway. But they were abusing a service to simulate it as a government SMS, and it came through as a clear e-channel complaint e-challan complaint number, and here is a link to pay. I'm like, okay, I saw the cop, so probably I was over speeding. Let me check this. Then, boom, I get APK file. That was an experience that I kind of wonder myself, what if other people should have got it,
But
right?
I had one doubt there. So how did you register your mobile number to trafficking system? Was it a portal that you want to sign up for?
See, in India, the privacy is lax. Probably you know this. Everywhere our numbers are floated for OTPs, for consumer receipts. And also, recently I registered a company, right? From
Yeah.
that time I'm getting super spammed by everyone because my number is up in public because of being a director of the company as13.ai, right, registered 3 months back. And a lot of bank people call, insurance companies, sales people, they tend to reach out through these channels. So one is that, the other one is you provide it for legitimate government services, and if they get breached, they get abused, right? And your data is out there, so it could be from any place that these people would have got. From what my initial investigation was, it was a kind of a service SMS from a compromised service. They're not sending it direct, so
Yeah.
that's what kind of kept it under the radar. Plus, situationally it was all right for me to check what is my challenge. So I went ahead and clicked. I found, myself guilty for falling for it. But this is what happens. Like, even if you are in the industry for 13 or even a decade and more, right, you can still fall for phishing. And that's the nature of the game that cybersecurity is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed totally. So, uh, that I mean, I can go on and on for this topic, but given the time frame, if we want to move for other attack surfaces and attack vectors, uh, you know, I would say your perimeter security is at risk.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, probably a year and two ago, every VPN gateway was getting popped
Exactly,
from 0 days.
because
Right?
a lot of these people that call zero trust architecture, uh, they are pretty much outsourcing their DMZ to a SASE gateway.
Yeah.
But the more controls that you had in house, it's today outsourced as an external DMZ gateway. So it's really hard for you to understand what a typical network flow and an attack flow is going to look like. Yes, they have DDoS protection. Yes, they have DNS security on top of it. But the knowledge is missing today. The person
Mm.
that was responsible for your company's front end gateway is no longer your internal person today.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that is something that we need to pay attention and try to see whether how we can improvise that aspect of cybersecurity.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Because that will be the entry point to any of these guys, right? Cool. And sticking to current landscape, is AI overrated or underrated right now?
I mean, so until 2024, end of 2024, I've never seen a security product company that had a proper AI integration.
Agreed.
So we are talking probably 6 months now. So a lot of startup companies have evolved either services or products that have some aspects of AI integrated solution. But to me, um, we don't want to talk AI from a defensive mindset today, because we need a lot of homework to be done. There is a lot of
Yeah.
research going on. First of all, we want to kind of understand the attacker's mindset and how they are going to leverage AI. And even if we don't have AI powered solution in place or controls in place, can we at least reduce the mean time to detect and mean time to respond to those sophisticated AI attacks with your traditional solution, and slowly and organically build capabilities around AI from a defense event is what my thought process in the whole platform.
Yeah. See, you raise a good point here in terms of, see, I've seen two kind of leaders. One who goes after everything that is new to help his team to better equip with the new tools, right? The other type of leaders who are like, let me leverage my existing investment. Let me do that thing 100%. When I hit a limitation, I'll go for the new stuff, right?
Yeah,
So these are the two types of leaders that I've seen. One is, let me get the return out of my current existing investment. The other one, hey, I need to get that new stuff so that my team is better equipped, right?
yeah.
So it's always a balance between the new and the old executing right? Because if you stay too long with the existing investment, probably there is a better way to do things with the new tools, right?
Yeah,
If you take all too many things, new stuff, without doing any value to your team, it's just overburdening them with new tools, right?
I
So
call
it's
it shining object syndrome.
it's shiny objects.
Because some leaders, very good point, I want to definitely talk about this one thing. Long back, when I say 10 years back, it was easy job for security leaders to pick and choose solutions, because there were only handful of security,
Yeah,
McAfee or Cisco to some extent, FireEye, or a lot of these key players. So it is easy for a security leader to say, "Hey, I need to protect my network security, and I want to make sure that my uh, data is being secure." So it's very easy for them to bring one of these tools and implement that, make sure that they get some benefit out of that, because they did not have too many options. But it was
yeah.
very hard job for the engineers and the analysts, like L1 to L4 was a hard job for them, because there were too many you know uh, technical depth that they want to go in order to have what they want to have. But today that dimension has changed. It is very easy to be a security analyst today with modern tools. You don't have to go reinvent the wheel, to understand how to, query a particular sim tool, or an XDR, to get a modern report on what was the failed password for the last 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is very
See,
tough job for leaders because too many options today and the dimension is changing. One aspect is AI, but it is not just AI, right? There are so many technologies that these leaders need to be, ahead of the curve to protect what they want to protect. And every leader in every tech company has different, priorities. So at least for me, the last four companies that I worked, I had to have a completely different set of mindset with,
mm,
banking versus, manufacturing versus fintech versus retail. Cybersecurity was same, but the job I did was completely different.
mm.
So that's something that I wanted to, emphasize when we talk about this point.
Yeah, that's where the fundamental plays the big role, right? Understanding the basics.
Right.
Because I've met people who can't differentiate internal and external or public IPs, right? When we say what are the internal IPs, blank. At least you give an IP address that belongs to internal range, blank, right? Because that's where fundamental matters. I've even seen couple of guys or customer side where they are debating who is attacking from this IP, that IP being their internal systems, right?
RC 1918. Yeah.
Yeah, so they went ahead and blocked it, kind of bring down their system, say, hey, this is our internal IP. Another department has to come shouting and saying, why are you blocking, our Active Directory server, right? So it happens, but that's where the fundamentals lay the strongest foundation in terms of, reducing the noise and focusing on what matters the most.
Yeah. So one way of doing this whole approach is, I do a CIA Venn diagram to make sure if I'm working for a particular company, whether they need confidentiality percentage more than integrity or availability, or some companies like manufacturing, their availability needs to be 100%. Okay. So, for example, one company that I work, I was thinking like, okay, this is a plant. Maybe, I mean, if this plant is going out for a cyber attack for 1 or 2 hours, it's going to be a financial loss. No, it is going to be people loss also, because the plant is actually, having a lot of hot water coming from the pipe. And if the plant is being stopped, this pipe is going to burst and it's going to be a, fire burst. So,
Yeah.
kind of understand the business impact analysis, making before making cyber decisions. So
Yeah. See, to be frank, I have never seen leaders do CIA, right? Because talking to our customers or clients, right? One of the biggest thing they come with, I'm getting attack. I have this attack. I need to stop. What do I need to buy or what should I do?
so
Right?
there is a psychology.
90 or I'm probably generalizing it. Probably the majority of the time when the business thinks about security is something is wrong. Until that, everything is fine, right? Suddenly they see a bot attack, spam attack, or ransomware something. Hey, I need to fix this. What should I do? There is never has been, hey, this is confidential. This needs to be protected. Probably in data security, when they are implementing DLP, they might consider this classification and everything, but not to the level of extent whether confidentiality should be more, integrity is more priority, or availability, right?
Yeah.
It's always a guesswork that I've seen. Probably in much more mature organization where there are dedicated teams, for business continuity, they look at availability as a more crucial aspect. When there is integrity, probably in audit and finance, that's where they have dedicated integrity checks that they make and how uh, reputation can be handled.
Yeah.
Confidentiality, it's just organization decision. Hey, this is secret. We need to keep it safe.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen even much bigger organizations struggle in this area. The reason, there is a psychology behind this, Arun. The reason is, we want to understand, right? Cybersecurity is a cost center,
Hmm.
right? So the leader that is coming as a cyber leader, there is a lot of eyes watching him or her. Okay. So they will have to have quick wins. So what are they going to do within the next 6 months? If they are going
Yeah.
to business impact analysis or CIA triad, that's not the best homework for for them to show that they are a good leader. So it
Yeah,
is homework, but a very important homework. They want to somehow do that homework, but what end up happening is a lot of people are trying to avoid that because they don't want to spend their time before showing their value to the company. So showing
yeah,
value, quick win is always with replacing the product. Hey, I don't like this product. Okay, that's how it goes. But sometimes it is practical. Sometimes we want to actually have a delineation in terms of how much technical focus that we want to make versus how much business focus that we want to make, because it's a fine line between both worlds.
yeah, true. I think that's a valid point because when people come into leadership or handling a security team, right, they look at, hey, 3 months, 6 months, what are you going to deliver?
Roadmap.
If they say I'm going to deliver a comprehensive risk assessment or your CIA triad of understanding your business, what are the priorities? They would say no, thank you, right?
Yeah.
They have to show some actionable insight like, hey, I bought in this tool, we dropped it this many attacks, something that is technology inclusion into the organization, saying, hey, we spent this much, we stopped this much, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of measurable things, probably it's what the expectation from the board is also. That's one point that probably that's where this holistic understanding of business and what is critical to business probably goes out of the window, saying, hey, I
Yeah.
need to show some progress.
And one more thing, when we talk about this business versus technical, is there was time where I was not part of board meetings, or even I'm not part of board meetings today, but I requested my C level to politely asking, hey, I'm not going to open my mouth, but I just want to come and listen. Okay. So after that meeting, he came back and he told me the CEO's biggest problem is they don't understand the CISO's language.
Yeah.
Not that not that CEO. Majority of the CEOs are chief operating or other C levels that are not tech. They don't understand the CISO's language because this guy is too technical.
Yes.
Okay, they
Yeah.
don't really care whether there was a brute force attack at 2 a.m. in the morning that these guys stuff. So you want to talk to them in the language that they understand. You want to talk to them in numbers. You want to say, these are the top 10 risks for this company. We are not going to address all 10 risks by, spending like $100 million. But these three attacks or these three areas, if we don't focus, we are going to fail our audit. That's going to be impacting our reputation for the company. So are you game for it?
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen these meetings, I've been part of such meetings, it never ends well. One of the things that we improved in my past experiences is talk to them in the language of risk, put a number on it, saying, hey, if this attack materializes, your production will be down for 2 hours, which in turns you have a loss of 200K or 2 million, right? Now they start listening. Okay, what should I do to avoid this, right? Because they can't avoid 2 hours of downtime on production. If it's a e-commerce site, they start direct losing revenue. If it is a service website where people are taking service from their website, they lose revenue. If they are a B2B, then their customer dissatisfaction, you lose revenue. Eventually, people leave, right? So that's how they understand. Always speak in the terms of risk, put a number across the probabilities of materializing. It kind of sharpens their ears in terms of making them focus. I was fortunate when I was a CISO, I had an excellent technical CEO. um, if I say brute force, he said, why don't we have MFA? He was such a CEO, right? So it made my life easy, but I've heard this complaint from many, many teams that CEOs, probably the language that the CISOs, they can't go with and say, I have 2000 vulnerabilities to fix. That doesn't fly, right? So hopefully the industry is changing. I've seen a couple of dedicated CISO applications which kind of makes it as a risk-based quantification for whatever the metrics they have. to make it easier for them to go to board and CEOs to talk. So if that picks up well, probably everybody speaks the same language across boards. This again changes from company to company in terms of the people that you work with. So it's a big if the industry matures, yeah, they will be able to get some progress in terms of addressing the communication gaps between the technical team and the leadership teams. Yeah.
I mean, you hit it on.
Interesting times, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, AI is going to steal all the jobs. Well, it's going to steal some jobs. It's also going to create more jobs, right?
Yeah.
So, prompt engineers, for example, to your point, right? So, it can be a standalone piece of job where, I mean, you want to have an efficient prompt engineer that spend less time to extract more from these AI algorithms.